All right, joining me once again here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is my good friend Mike Papantonio. Mike is, of course, the co-host of Ring of Fire Radio, along with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Sam Cedar, which you can find at ringoffireradio.com. Pap, thank you so much for being on the show again.
How are you, Matt?
I'm doing
I'm
well, my
following
friend.
your product too. It's getting better. Just hitting the points we need to be talking about.
Well, Pap, I appreciate that. And actually, before we get going, real quick, this is the 200th episode, Pap, of the Matthew Filipowicz Show. And real quick, I just want to tell you, man, I would not be doing this show if it wasn't for you, and Scott and Farron and everyone over at Ring of Fire. You guys kept putting me on the radio back when I was an animator for Heads Up, and you really got me just loving the very format of radio. So just on my 200th episode, I just want to take a second and thank you and everyone over at Ring of Fire.
Well, you were good at it. That everybody, unfortunately, people move through the progressive media market. Some people, they get a show and they forget that there are other people out there who have huge talent. You've always had great talent, and that because of that, it helps the citizens media. It helps progressive media because you were willing to say, damn it, I can do this. I know these issues. I deal with them every day. I can go do this. And I think you're a success story, man. I honestly do. I talk about that all the time, that here you come out with the idea and you make it work. Anybody can do that if they're committed to doing it.
Well, thanks, Pap. Well, so speaking of success stories, this last weekend, my friend, Ring of Fire had some major news. Ring of Fire is now no longer just a radio show, but you guys are actually a TV show as well. You've made the leap to free speech TV. Why don't you tell us all about the move?
Well, I think the move, you have free speech TV that has been what I've always thought is a sleeping giant. It is an incredible carriage for progressives. It's in about 40 million households right now. By the end of this year, I predict it'll be 50 to 60 million. And so, but it's been out there, and it's been kind of a documentary-driven kind of network. You've had, of course, Amy Goodman, huge talent, Tom Hartman, huge talent, David Pakman's been there. And so what they're doing, they have slowly moved this product, this free speech television, into something to where it becomes the voice that replaces current. It becomes a voice that competes with other carriages that say they are the progressive voice. What I love about having the free speech avenue is it's not there's no choosing sides. Our first show beat the hell out of Democrats just like we beat the hell out of Republicans, and we'll continue to do that. And we have to be willing to be honest above being politically party correct. We can't worry about being politically party correct, and that's where we're headed with this show.
Well, what's good, absolutely on that point, you have MSNBC, which granted has some good hosts and good progressives on the air, but you also have MSNBC, who's recently hired Robert Gibbs and David Axelrod, and so essentially, when you make moves like that, it's hard to not think of MSNBC as not a voice for progressives, but really just a voice for the mainstream Democratic Party.
It's easy to miss, Matt, that most true progressives have a sense of justice, okay? They have a sense of, if you look at a typical MMPI of somebody who says that, yes, they're a progressive, what you'll really see is you'll see a thread through that MMPI, which is they want, A, to treat people right, B, they want to have they want a just world, and C, they have a willingness to cooperate to make that happen. So when you add all that up and you say, I'm going after the progressive market, there's no way to say, well, I'm going to be Democrat. You simply can't do that. And so what we're going to be doing, and I think you're going to see free speech TV doing more and more, is understanding that you have to call the shots like they are. And I think that gives me great flexibility. I think the advantage I have, Matt, is overwhelming. I'm connected to virtually every major case in the country that all have political ramifications. The lawyers handling those cases are my friends, whether it's BP today or Wall Street tomorrow. The people that I deal with are people who make all that happen. So we're able to bring stories that mainstream TV, I don't even like to call it mainstream TV because it's not mainstream anymore, but traditional TV can't bring. They can't call up, the best lawyer in the country dealing with women's abuse rights and have them on the show. I can. And so, because I know who they are, I've worked with them. And so we're going to drive it with a legal theme, but it's not a lawyer talk show. The law talk is only what is the political and social issue surrounding that particular event, that particular case.
I'm talking to my good buddy Mike Papantonio from Ring of Fire, both the radio show and now the TV show on Free Speech TV. And I think you're absolutely right, Pap. When you think about how I think the major failing, frankly, of progressives is, once Obama got elected, and we were very much unified against George W. Bush. But, you and I know this, so many of our people we thought were friends and allies, once Obama got into office, they shut up. They stopped, being activists. They stopped speaking up for what's right. And the fact of the matter is, the progressive media, in many instances, was a major failure of why we haven't really made as much progress as we should have under the Obama administration.
Oh, no question. If they would have asked the question night after night, why has nobody been prosecuted on Wall Street? Mm-hmm. Why do we continue down the same path where it comes to civil rights and privacy rights in the country? You can't be afraid to ask those questions. You have to say to a president who ran on we all remember the stump speeches, don't we? I mean, they're like yesterday. Yeah, I'm going to change the culture of crime on Wall Street, and nothing was done. I'm going to change the way that we interact with the military-industrial complex. We're going to get some control over that. Nothing's been done. I'm going to change the way that we're regarded in the world as being, as being somebody who has the reputation of going and droning the hell out of somebody when there's other alternatives. We haven't done much about that. He's had a lot to say. He's had a lot of pitch, but there's been no delivery. And for progressives to ignore that, you do that to the detriment of democracy. And so I guess you've known me well enough and long enough to know that's never been a problem.
That's definitely never been one of your problems, my friend. So what kills me is even right now, we have that kind of problem going on right now. So we have this ridiculous sequester thing that's coming up. What kills me about the progressive response to the sequester is that so many people are actually letting Obama off the hook for the sequester. And look, I know that the whole sequester idea was that the sequester was to try to get a grand bargain, which in my opinion was a bad idea to begin with.
It was terrible. It was completely unnecessary.
But then you have progressives saying, oh no, the reason the sequester is going to go through is it's all the Republicans' fault. But Obama signed the bloody bill. He signed the bill.
He caved in with the rest of the Democrats.
Exactly. And to let him off the hook, it's like to think that he didn't have even the back of his head. There is a possibility that we will not make a deal, and there is a possibility that the sequester will go through. I think that's even a worse argument for Obama than you could possibly come up with.
It's a lack of leadership argument. It is really, you honestly believed when they sat down in a room and said, we're going to have this, but don't worry about it. We're going to have the sequester hanging over your head, but don't worry about it because, golly, we're going to get along. Isn't it the same thing that Harry Reid did on filibuster? Golly, Harry, you just go along with us, give up on filibuster and you won't have any problems from us this year. And then the first thing we see is the Hagel incident. So, I mean, I call it the spouse abuse syndrome that from a political side that the Democrats have. They keep going back. Somebody beats the hell out of them. They keep going back because I honestly think they can't help themselves. And having been a prosecutor, Matt, I really did see a lot of spouse abuse, and I really prosecuted the hell out of anybody who did that. But it used to always amaze me when the wife would say, I'm going to drop charges. Well, this is the same thing. It's the same relationship that the Democrats have with Republicans. Exactly. And Obama's no different. Obama, there's two sides to this story. A, is he really that naive? Which I don't think he is. I think a lot of these cuts he's wanted to see in place. He's surrounded himself with Rubin, with the whole mentality of Rahm Emanuel is still alive at the White House. And so what we're seeing is he's getting cover. You see, he's getting covered. Yo, the Republicans, we don't have the votes. The Republicans, we don't have the votes, that kind of crap. But really, when it comes right down to it, a leader leads. That's the job description, okay? When you become a leader, that's something, unfortunately, you have to do. You have to lead. Leadership is not part of simply having the title of leader. You must lead, and he's been unable to do that.